Hello everyone, welcome back. So I'm in the RV again. If you can hear the AC, try to muddle through it. I have something special to me today, and I'm going to tell you about, I'm going to ask you about this, but I'm going to tell you about where this came from. This was the radio that my Elmer had, KI4LUI, who passed away, the one that got me started into ham radio. Real quick to recap, if you're new to this channel, I met Patrick about over 20 years ago. I was in 9th grade, and I met him on the CB radio. We started talking. Smoker 5.5, and we're back quiet. Yeah, good old Smoker. And so I met him back then about CB stuff, and he was a ham, and I didn't know anything about ham radio. So I went to his house to borrow a PL259 because I had a Cobra 29 LTD, a little amp under the seat, and a 102-inch whip on my GMC Jimmy, 1987 GMC Jimmy, and the PL259 was flaking out. There was no Amazon back then. There was barely eBay, and I wasn't going to Tedco Electronics a week later. I had to have it fixed now. He's like, yeah, I got a PL259. Come on over. So I met him there. It was like 9 o'clock at night over in Sebastian. And he's like, yeah, come here and check out my stuff. So I came in. He didn't have this then. He had a couple other radios. I can't remember. He might have had a Yaesu 757 GX2, I think. If that was it, yeah, 757 GX2, I think. But that wasn't even on display. It was the CVs I was worried about. And then, so I saw there was an ICOM radio. It was an ICOM V8000, the 65-watt, 2-meter only radio. And I said, hey, what's that? And he said, oh, that's a ham radio. I'm like, oh, all I knew a ham radio was that was what old timers did. That's what I knew at 17, 16 years old. So he's like, watch this. He picked up the mic. He keyed it. It was on a repeater, the W4PHJ repeater in Wabasso, which is still there. And it said W4PHJ repeater. That was it. I was like, oh my God, it talks to you. It talks. He goes, yeah, that's ham radio. That was it. I was absolutely friggin' hooked. I'll never give up CB. I'm on CB all the time on 11 meters, working DX all over the world on 27.385 lower sideband. Anyways, fast forward 20-something years. He passed away last March. And I always told him, I said, don't ever get rid of your stuff because that's mine. And he says, oh, Eric, damn right, you better make sure you take my stuff because I don't want no one to take it, sell it. That's keep it in the family. Well, here it is, guys. His last radio that he used to use on 75 meters was the Kenwood TS-940, and it's the TS-940S, and he would say, TS-940 sugar. That's what he used to do. Okay, so rest in peace, Pat. You created this, man, on YouTube. He was just an awesome guy. Had a rough life, had a very rough life. But that man got me where I am today with radio. Probably would have never knew what a ham radio was. You would have never been seeing this video. So after sentimental video story time here, this radio is the Kenwood TS-940S. Now, he was a big Kenwood fan, and I have no problem with Kenwood. Kenwood's got really good stuff. I just have started with Yaesu because he was a Yaesu fan too. That's my first radio I got from him was my FT450 AT with the antenna tuner in there. That's still around. I have to go get it. I burned up the finals using it as a beacon, but that I bought from him years ago. The FT450 AT. So he was a Kenwood fan. He had a TS-2000. I remember talking to him and using his TS-2000. He had a Kenwood little 2-meter rig. He had this, and he had another one. I can't remember what the other one was because I'm not really familiar. I could tell you a lot of different models and ICOMs and Yaesus from way back in the day. Guys, this is why I ask you for your comments, okay? Because I'm not really familiar with Kenwood. I'm not. And I want to ask you guys, before I show you a little bit around here of what I want to ask you about, is what do you think of this radio? This is what I'm going to use next weekend on field day in this RV right here. I'm going to set up portable in a parking lot somewhere else. And I'm going to use this because, frankly, this is the only full power HF rig that I own right now. The ICOM 705 over here is not going to cut it on field day with those big guns. I have had this in my possession since March of last year. That's a year and 3 months. Never turned it on. First time I just turned it on. Okay? So I remember that he told me it had a little bit of we used to try it, like AM didn't work. I know AM doesn't work on here. FM doesn't work, I don't think. And he never, let me tell you about Pat. Pat, his whole life would chase 10 meters and 15 meters and 20 meters and all that. The last few years, it didn't mean nothing to him. He wanted to get on 75 meters, talk with his locals. John, you're out there. Chuck, you're out there. All those people. And if you've talked to KI4LUI, he had some nicknames, Slow Talking Joe, and yeah, Pat. I mean, man, all kinds of names. I could tell you. So I'm glad to have this in my possession. But you know, the last time this thing hit 10 meters, talking around the world, not sure when it did. And I didn't get the original mic or the desk mic he had. I think the cord was shot and the mic was shot, and so I ordered one on Amazon, a replica Kenwood microphone that's coming Tuesday, so I could at least use this thing. I haven't tested output power. I haven't tested audio. I haven't tested the modes. First time I turned it on. This thing is heavy. This thing is heavy. Okay? From what I know, it's a 250 watt peak envelope power input, so it puts out about 125 watts output. And then it says 140 watts PEP DC input power on AM. So I guess that would mean 30%, because I know usually a 100 watt rig will put out 25 watts on AM. If this puts out 104, if this says 140 watts input on AM, what is that, like 35 watts AM? But I remember testing with him remotely on our my ICOM 7300. AM was not good. So, and I'm not sure what, I think FM was not good either. It was like very wide and sketchy, and I couldn't understand them. It was almost like it was still in sideband when he was in AM, from what I remember. It's got the carrying handle over here on the side, and I don't trust that because this thing is so heavy. I picked it up with that, but I had my arm underneath. So this makes me appreciate, I think this was 1987 to 1990X, which means whenever they stopped it in Japan in production, whenever it was, I can't remember. I'm not that smart. So tell me what you think about the years of production on here. And 2 years ago, I think, I did field day at the W4OT Vero Beach Field Day at the Indian River County Fairgrounds with my high gain GT550A Galaxy tube radio, which had 250 watts output, because I wanted to use something that was all tube with my D104 2 field days ago. So this is going to be on this table, and it does 160 meters to 10. It has a built-in automatic antenna tuner inside. And then I'm going to use my 705 over here for local FM 2-meter contacts possibly, and 6 meters with my magnetic loop at 10 watts because I don't have 6 meters on here. What are the things that I should know about this? What are the things that make this radio exceptional? What are the things, I'm going to tell you right now, I don't know what single sideband slope tune is, high and low. And keep your negative comments out of this, because I know there's people are going to be telling me, oh, I'm nothing but a friggin' appliance operator. How dare I make a video if I don't know what that is? That's why I like making these videos, because you guys that are experts on this will tell me. So I'm going to delete those comments. I'm not going to put up with the FU anymore on the friggin' comments. You don't have to cuss people out on there, okay? So if you're that, you know, don't watch. Just unsubscribe and never watch again. I don't care. So, you know, there's a processor on here. Is that a speech processor? I'll probably turn this on and play with it. Maybe you guys say, well, the processor is not what you want to use on a field day. Or maybe you say the slope tune, you know. This is why I like this radio right here already, is because A, it's got an analog meter, like the little needle, right? And it doesn't have a scope. I've gotten so friggin' attached to a scope. And although I could use a radio like this without a scope, because here's the deal. You know, you You get to 28 megahertz and you tune and you listen for signals and you call CQ and you don't look at the scope, because this is happening. Just like the shirts that we made. Don't be a scope head, call CQ. There's people out there that turn it on, they look at the scope, they go, yep, nothing here. They turn it off. That's not what I want to do. And to further that, go on field day this year and look at your scope. You're not going to find a free frequency anywhere. And then when field day's over, it's going to go dead as a doornail. So that proves my theory that people turn their radios on for field day and they turn them off when it's done. Okay? So you can't argue that either. You know, I know what notch filter is. I know what, you know, the AF and RF gain here, and receive incremental tuning on transmit AGCs. So, you know, on the newer radios, you push a button for AGC. This one, you have to switch it here. Then I started reading online because I'm interested. There's mods for AGC for, you know, 30 milliseconds to 0.22 milliseconds or whatever, microseconds for, I don't know. There's a lot of things out there that I can read about this radio I'm not familiar with yet. All right, noise blanker, you know, the mic and the power. Now, some people tell me online that this does 125 out, but you should only run it at 100. Is that something I should do? I'm not sure. You know, he used this on CW as well. I'd like to test this on CW. All right, so that, you know, that's cool. And he's changed when. All right, so apparently you get a little, maybe for visually impaired hams. Is there a speech synthesizer in this? I'm not. Oh. Okay, that doesn't work either. Okay, so let me see. I don't know what that was. So the speech synthesizer doesn't work either. Okay, narrow and wide. You know, a lot of stuff here. Let me flip this thing around. Oh, graph. What is graph here? We got clock, graph, scroll. A lot of stuff here. Memory functions. I never program memories. Automatic antenna tuner here. Okay, and CW VBT. All right. So a lot of stuff here that I would like. I don't. Should I factory reset this radio? Is there anything in here that could be set that I don't want to be set based on his things? I'm not sure. I know there's a battery in here that a lot of times I read online went dead and it wouldn't hold any memories or whatever. Looks like the memories are still there. I mean, I think he used memories. Yeah, there's a memory right there, 3838. Okay. Let me turn this around on the back.
Ham Radio Concepts is brought to you by HamRadioPrep.com. It's never been easier to learn about ham radio before you take the exam. And Ham Radio Prep makes it fun and guarantees your success. Visit HamRadioPrep.com. Use the code ERIC20 to instantly save 20% off every course you buy. Remember the name, HamRadioPrep.com.
Now, I'm not sure if you can see this, okay? I can. All right. So, get a nice quiet fan back here on the power supply. I need to clean this up. This is dirty. I have the original box and the original manual inside as well. So, I'm going to clean this up after this. It's going back in the box for a little bit. So, here's the automatic antenna tuner unit. Maybe that was an option, or I think that was built in with it. All right, so there's your tuner. Lots of stuff on the back here. You know, your antenna, your ground, receive antenna switch, transverter. So can I use a transverter for this? I want to know how I can use a transverter with this, because I know that you could use like a transverter for, you know, going in on 10 meters and come out 2 meters or whatever. Can I use a transverter? Was that something that was only a Kenwood option? Can I make something? How can I use that? What can I do with that? A remote, a IF in and out. Can I use this for an external pan adapter? Tell me, please, teach me. The RIDI jack, external speakers, CW key. By the way, I do have his Bencher CW key as well. That is in my shed, and I have that as well. So one day I'm going to be pounding out on that paddle with this radio, you know, and that's it. Accessory 1, accessory 2 is a fuse, 120 volts input, voltage selector. So it's set for 120 now. So this is 120 in. So how I'm going to run this at field day is I have solar. I could run this radio on the solar during the day and batteries all night. If I run an extension cord from here to the inverter up front, because I'm going to run the air conditioners on my micro generator. So the inside here is going to be all on generator. I mean, these lights up here will be on 12 volt battery, but I'm going to run this. I'll have 12 volt batteries. So 6 in parallel, 6 in parallel, 2 in series. That's my 24 volt plant to 120 volt pure sine wave inverter back down to here, right? So I can run this all night on those batteries. Because I don't want to run it on a generator, I don't think, even though it's a pure sine wave inverter generator, you know, which was kind of a letdown because I automatically thought this radio was a 12 volt radio and I could use it with a huge lithium ion battery, lithium battery or bio-NO, whatever. So I always have to have 120 volts for this. Not a deal breaker. So I want to know about the transverter. I want to know about this. Maybe you have stories about that. That would be cool for me because this is how I learn from you guys making a video. So and it gives you up here. It gives you the readout up here. So when the radio is facing you, you can look around the back and see right here where the jacks are. So if you're looking for that CW jack, you can be in the front of the radio, reach over. Oh, it's right here. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. And I can go right back out, boop, plug the CW key in. So good job, Kenwood, for that, I guess. All right, so I'll wrap this video up right here. I'm going to give this a good send-off. First time since Pat's been gone that I've had this radio. I'm going to beat it up on field day, man. I'm going to, and I'll be cursing him all the time. Come on, Pat, you never even used 10 meters on here. I know he wasn't on 17. Oh, is there 17? Yes, there is. So, yeah, you have 30 meters, 17 meters, and 12 meters. So you have the 3 work bands on here. I know when the work bands came out, some radios before that weren't programmed for that. So this must have been after the work bands were implemented. All right. So, but you can't use those on field day, of course. But this might be a 17 meter powerhouse. I mean, I've been on 17 meters every day in the mobile, working DX all over the world on 17 as of the week of June 13th, whatever today is, the 18th. I mean, this whole week I check into the activity net on 17 here all over the world, and 15, 12, and 10. I've been mobile all the time, man. The bands are in great shape for me. Mobile in Florida with a 3.5 foot long Tar Heel antenna and 100 watts, my ICOM 7100. So what would this thing be like on 17 meters? Wow. Antenna I'm probably going to use for this at field day. I'm not sure yet. Probably going to use the Chameleon MCOM 2 end fed. Probably going to use the Chameleon M-Pass. Although no, the M-Pass won't handle 100 watts. So I got a couple. I got a Chameleon 20 and 40 fan dipole. Could use that. I'm probably going to be mostly on 10, 15, and 20 meters. But I am going to try to make a contact on 6, a contact on 2, and a contact on 40. Because at night, 40 is going to be just absolutely madness on field day. It always is. But now I don't have to compete with the 10 watts. I can run with this. And when I get my ham shack finished, I mean, I got the Swan 350 in there, tube break, which I have to finish repairing. And with this, I got his Drake L4B with two 3-500 Zulus. Not sure the condition of tubes, and it's been sitting for a long time because I didn't use it all the time, so I might have to put it on a Variac with Jan, turn it up slow. And I know that the caps had been replaced, but there was another issue with it, so we're going to find out. But I'm not going to use that amp on a field day because that's 220. Although he had it wired for 110 because he didn't have a 220, and that thing pulls like 25 amps on 110. I don't feel like I'm just gonna run a 220 around the house, buried, and conduit to the ham shack out back, and run that on 220, and it'll sound like the voice of God when I push that button. So I can't wait for that. In the meantime, thanks guys for watching my videos. Thanks for any comments you can give me to this. I'm gonna start cleaning this up and get it ready for field day. And I hope to work you on Pat's radio. And Pat, I hope you're right there next to me in that seat when I'm calling CQ or QRZ on field day, buddy. I miss you so much. And 7-3, everyone.